Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the memory recall or MR function in your camera. Why do we use them and how do you set it up? Stay tuned and I'll be right back. If you like to use different settings for every different lighting scenario when you're filming, you'll know that switching between the settings from one scenario to the next can take up a lot of time and often end up resulting in a lot of mistakes. For example, when I'm shooting in this area or in my studio here, I'm using full manual f1.8, 1/60th of a second, PP1, which is a custom picture profile that I use just for in this spot. My audio level is 8 because I'm using a Rode Video Micro NTG microphone, which if I have the gain too high in the camera, it will clip. I use product showcase on so that I can show off things like this very quickly. And I also have my autofocus speed on fast and responsive for the tracking so that it can flip back and forth if I am filming something that I need to show off. I also have steady shot off because I'm on a tripod. Now I'll show you all these settings right here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in another scenario where I use a different set of settings that I can then flip to very quickly. Let me show you what I mean. So now let's see what the difference is between the settings that I had indoors and the settings that I'm using outdoors. The reason everything's different here is because one, I'm using HLG3 because the conditions can be very different and often very contrasty when and if you want to grade stuff, it will allow you to increase your dynamic range and change that. So that's one of the settings that's different from when I was indoors. Just to go quickly through all the other stuff. I'm using a variable ND so that I can change the brightness levels whenever I want, as opposed to using the onboard one, which is just either on and off, not being variable. I'm also using PP5, which is HLG3, as I just mentioned. I'm using an audio level that's a bit higher because I'm using this lavalier mic and it's wireless, so it has a different loudness level than the other one does. So this one I have set to an audio input of 10, level 10. I'm using autofocus speed normal and tracking sensitivity of standard. Reason being is I don't want things to catch its focus and flip back and forth all the time when things are moving around me. I also have steady shot on. Even though I'm on a bit of a tripod, it's actually a monopod and it does move a little bit, so that will dampen that a little bit. And I'm using aperture priority as opposed to full manual, which I can dial in how fast of a speed I want using the variable ND filter. So that's exactly why you would want to have a difference or a different setting that you can flip back and forth. So you can tell that it's quite complicated to move back and forth, but in my case it's literally the switch of a dial and I can have a different setting for indoors and out. Let's go back into the studio. Let's take a quick look in the menus to see how this is actually achieved. So whenever you want to save a particular set of settings from your camera, all you have to do is go into the menu and select the first tab and scroll over to page 4 and select the memory recall 1-2 memory option. What you're presented with here are 7 pages if you look at the top right, where you have 1 all the way over to M4 sections that you can save all your settings. Now this might seem a bit confusing since there's no 1, 2, and 3 dial like you used to have on cameras that have a dial on the top. But you can still select any of these 7 spots for your settings. Now that you have a few sets of settings saved into your camera, you want to access them. The easiest way to do that is just to use the mode button on the top of your camera. When presented with all of your mode options, just select the MR mode and that will show you all of the pages that you have. Just select the page that you want and that will change all of the settings of your camera simultaneously. An alternate method for selecting your modes is to add your mode selection into your function menu. That way you can just access all of your modes at the same time when you're making any of your other choices. Either method is perfectly fine, so it's really up to you. There's really no limit to how many different kinds of settings you can save. In my case, I have an indoor video, an outdoor video, a slow motion video setting, and finally I also have one just for taking photos so that I don't have to think about switching over and making it more difficult for myself. So that about covers it for your memory recall function on your camera. If you have any questions about it, please leave your questions in the comments below. If you found this video interesting or entertaining or useful in any way, please hit the like button and feel free to subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thanks very much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video. See you soon.